Hei mok var det sång i lei, vakna Bico edelige drenge, de høyre nykken på havet skrev.
Hey everybody, it's your good buddy Thorn. This is going to start a series of articles, or series of web posts, on putting your armor together for a Bico. Now, we talked a little bit about various roles within the military, and the one we're going to touch on first is medium infantry, or what I like to call medium infantry. It's not heavy plate, but it's not running around in leather armor either. It's kind of that in-between line of some light or medium armor. And this ties right into what Thorwald's all about anyway, which is 10th century Dane. And you've seen some of this, but because of the way the rules are at Bico and a lot of LARPs, I'm kind of going away from the traditionalist full real steel mail, and mail is what we're going to talk about today, and going more towards the aluminum lighter mail with a full Hallbrook. So, but first of all, I am not dressed correctly to begin this episode, so let's do a little magic, shall we? Okay, well, now we're back. That was actually fairly easy to do. I might have to change my character class. Anyway, so I'm back. Let me show you when we first get started. This is kind of in addition to what we talked about earlier about our basic clothing. And let me show you where we're sitting right at the moment, or where I'm sitting right at the moment, okay? Because what I have on now, this is the Epic Armory Viking tunic. It is long sleeve. It's got some very basic trim to it, and it's not very expensive, and it's a good little base piece. The trousers that I'm wearing are very kind of generic LARP pants. They're lace up on the sides. I'm not sure if I like it, but you know, it's a start. And I have my sundowner boots on, which I absolutely love. If you're going to get a pair of boots, and I've told you this before, you know, I'm very partial about protecting my feet. And Sundowner is a great company, and they cost me a little bit. However, I did get them in a Renaissance Festival, and I got them on sale. So they only cost me about $250 rather than $450. And they're really nice. Let me see if I can show you a little bit better what I'm talking about. So, can you see these? Woohoo! Sundowners! Right. Enough of that silly crap. And, yeah, they're nice. But, getting back to what we're really talking about, which is the medium infantry piece. So, I've got my basic tunic, I got my trousers, I got my boots. Then we build up from there. First thing that you really want to put on underneath it, if you're doing mail, is some kind of padded jacket or a gambeson. Now, because of the heat, we might not do that. You don't need to. Really, excuse me, the padded armor underneath it was really kind of to stop the concussion effects of driving the mail into your flesh in real combat. We're not doing real combat, but to make it a little more comfortable, a light under jacket of some kind would probably be a great idea. And you've seen me use that in the 10th century Dane video, and that's what we're going to build our piece off of this time too. But let me talk about this mail, okay? I didn't really show you a close-up of the heavy real steel mail that I have, yeah, because it is significantly heavy, and it is old. It's probably about 20, hell, it might be about 30 years old by now because I bought it used, and it's still absolutely great. I replaced some rings and all that. But in the last few years, when I've started getting more and more into the LARP itself, or LARPing in itself, a good friend of mine said, well, why don't you go to aluminum mail? And I was like, aluminum mail? I don't want to do aluminum mail. Aluminum mail's stupid. And then I saw his and tried it on, and instead of wearing 60 pounds of riveted steel mail, I had about 15 pounds of full mail hauberk. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is so much lighter, and it doesn't look that bad. And the fact that it cost less than $300 for a full sleeve mail hauberk, and I did get it from Cult of Athena, and I love Cult of Athena. They're great people. And it got here within about 4 or 5 days, and it's, well, I have a little piece here. This is their riveted mail. And riveted with half links, and then the full link in there as well. As you can see, this is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, for whatever reason, the Indians who make this stuff must think that we have arms 10 miles long, because this was actually about 6 inches longer than my arms. And, well, I wanted to cut it back to a half sleeve anyway, and we'll go over why in the next little section here. But, this is really nice, and I was thinking, this is what I kind of want to do. This is for the medium infantry piece, and it's historic looking, it's light, and it's affordable. And what I do with the pieces that I cut off is I use it to make other armor pieces, like leather chest armor. With the you can see the leather mail that's back there is actually going to have a band of chain across the center of it, so it's going to look, well, here, let me show you real quick. This is actually going to kind of be sewn in there, or sewn to the leather, to provide a little bit more reinforcement right through here. It's absolutely pointless, but it looks cool. And that's kind of what we're going for. So let's take a look at our next piece and start building up from where we got, okay? Okay, so the next little piece that we're going to talk about is that padded gambeson or jacket, and it's a light jacket. And you saw me wear this when we were talking about the 10th century Dane armor, and this is something that I built, and it is lightly quilted. I mean, this is very, very lightly quilted, so you can actually wear it when it's, fairly warm. It's half sleeve. It's very simple cut, and it is quilted on a square pattern. And I've had this for about, 10 years. And excuse me, I've made it so it's washable. It uses a very simple batting in it. It uses about a half. It uses about a half layer of cotton batting. Anything heavier than that, and it gets to be too warm. But it's sewn on the square. This is cotton lining, so it breathes well. This is a little heavier, it's a little heavier cotton. It is has a slight pattern to it. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not, because this is kind of worn down. And then I did light trim on the side. And I did do some, some more dressier trim on the bottom, just to kind of dress it up a little bit. And when you're wearing this, simple ties, and a lot of the Norse clothing, it did not have ties at all. It just kind of wrapped around and belted shut. But when we are wearing this, you can kind of see that, if I can get it on. It's warm enough to wear at night if it gets a little colder. I do need to wash this again because I've been wearing it with the full mail or with the full steel mail, and it does get dirty. But because it's about half sleeve, and it covers pretty much everything that you need to cover. And once you put the belt on with it, that's pretty effective. And it looks pretty good. This is once I wash it again. Yeah, you could wear this out at night and look pretty decent with it. Okay, so I've changed back into I put the mail on rather than show you me trying to struggle into this thing by myself. I just put it on and it's worn over the jacket. Now, there's a few things about this that I really like, and there's some that I don't. First off, I think the neck is a little short or a little small, but it's not bad. And I might do a vertical cut here and then trim the edges in leather just to make it a little more comfortable. But I mean, it looks okay. Let me show you what. When I say this is a full male Holbrook, up until when I cut the sleeves off of it, the sleeves came down to about here. So now this is trimmed back to half sleeve. It's just longer or just shorter than my jacket is. And I've got full range of motion. And I'm wearing my waist belt, my heavier waist belt for this. And the reason this is traditionally you wore the waist belt right at the hip line. And it did take a little bit of the weight off your shoulders because it rested on your hips. With the aluminum mail, you don't really have to worry about that too much. So it sits nice. It really does. And I'm about medium infantryed out. There's a few other pieces we can add to this. We could add leg protection, very, very easy, and we talked about that in a couple different ways. And one of those being the plate defenses, the Ragnar plate defenses from Epic Armory, which we just simply strap onto your legs, protect you from about the knee down. That'd be very effective. Because really, at the Bicoline rules, every body part is a point. So if you do get hit in the arm, it's done. The mail takes some hits and protects that body part. It's light enough that you can move around. You've got good flexibility. You can fight pretty well in this. But as you can see, I'm wearing no lower arm protection because this is what I have. If you remember seeing these before, I talked about them. This is also Epic Armory, and it's kind of the, I don't know, it's almost a Japanese-looking armor or Middle Eastern-looking armor. It's very nice. And it covers from the hand up to the elbow. And once I get this strapped on, and this is why people have squires, by the way. My squire is not here, unfortunately. But let me show you this. So once we get this strapped on, now I'm protected from where their mail ends. The elbow protection shows up. It's got wrist protection. It's got back of the hand protection. This should be covered with a shield. But this is kind of what we're looking at. Let me show you the other one. Okay. So now, we're looking pretty armored. We're looking pretty good. Really, this is why you need a squire. All right. So, We've got good armor on the body. We got good armor on the hands and wrists. We've talked about doing the armor on the feet, and that's cool. We don't need to. We could add a little bit more armor to it if we wanted with this. As I tear off my headset. And so, you know, we add pieces to this. This is still pretty light. You can still move around pretty good once this is attached. And it's pretty effective armor for our game system. So, and then with the addition of the helmet, which I'm not going to put on. But that's basically your light infantry or your medium infantry. It's armored enough that's going to protect you in the front lines. You can fight with it. But at the same time, it's light enough that you can move around. It's light enough that you can fight effectively. And it looks pretty good. So you can see I've got some house signals on there. I've got some runic magic. I've got some other runes on here. I've got my my wolf sigil, my teeth, and then my armband, signifying that I'm a free warrior. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to do a little bit more video on certain parts of this, but I got to get the studio cleaned up. We got about 8 inches of snow last night, and so I've been busy doing other stuff. All right, we'll see you guys later.